Sir Keir Starmer was pictured on the third row of a NATO photo call yesterday, prompting mockery and claims of a snub in some quarters. The British Prime Minister is among dozens of leaders and senior officials present at the alliance's summit, where defence spending is expected to feature highly on the agenda. As a founding member of the defensive organization, Britain has often played a leading role in its running, underpinning the surprise of many at Starmer's positioning in the traditional leader's photo. Donald Trump and Emmanuel Macron were pictured front and center whilst Mark Rutte, Giorgia Meloni and Volodymyr Zelensky were given positions on the second row, with Starmer sidelined in the third row. One user on X posted, "Zelensky, whose country isn't even a member of NATO, looks miffed because he is on the second row." But not as miffed as Starmer, who is in the third row. The summit is expected to endorse plans for nations to raise defense spending to 5% of GDP by 2035 as it continues to deter Russian aggression. The spending will see 3.5% committed to traditional hardware such as bombs and bullets, with the remaining 1.5% allocated for resilience and security. The broad term is expected to include spending in areas which aid defense, such as protection of critical infrastructure or reinforcing bridges to support the movement of heavy weaponry. The 5% figure has long been touted by U.S. President Donald Trump, who is expected to cause havoc today as he prepares to once again leave a major international summit earlier than planned. Sir Keir has vowed not to backtrack on his pledge not to raise taxes to fund increased defense spending. He said, "Every time we've set out our defense spending commitments, so when we went to 2.5% in 2027-28, we set out precisely how we would pay for it. That didn't involve tax rises." Clearly, we've got commitments in our manifesto about not making tax rises on working people, and we will stick to our manifesto commitments. Starmer has emphasized that increased funding is coming from cuts to foreign aid rather than from his proposed cuts to the welfare bill, which are expected to total around £5 billion. He added, "So, it's a misdescription to suggest that the defense spending commitment we've made is at the expense of money on welfare." It comes after Pierre Vandier, NATO's supreme allied commander transformation, in charge of updating the alliance's military structures, warned Russia may seek to exploit cracks and launch an opportunistic attack before members of the alliance begin spending 5% of GDP on defense.